is a racist, has a history of being a racist, who's documented to be a racist, who's also a sexual offender and a criminal. I want to thank you for all the support that you've gave this neo-Nazi. And you will go down in history because your videos are online. And we will never let it up. Because I'm pretty sure after all this is over, every one of you will switch up the grift to something else. But I and many people like myself will never allow you to get away from it or forget that you were on the wrong side of history and that you are part of the problem, that you are neo-Nazi, black-face contractors, and you are the architects of our current situation. So I just want to thank all you black coons out there, you black Republicans out there, you black people rapping racism and hip-hop out there, you FBA black MAGA out there. I want to thank all of you. You did such a great and wonderful job. Your ancestors are proud of you, especially the ones that captured us and brought us into the transatlantic slave trade. Your ancestors are very proud of you. The ones that used to take the whip and slap and smack and kill and abuse his fellow Africans so that the white master will give him a dry-ass butter biscuit. Yeah, those are your ancestors. COINTELPRO, those are your ancestors. Your ancestors are traitors to the black community. Their blood runs deep in you. And I just want to let you know that all of us pro-black Pan-Africans who are promoting pro-black policies, talking pro-black and positivity to our community, that hold xenophobic people, no matter what language they speak, what country they're from, what ethnic group they are, I want to let you know that you will always remain in the category of the traitors of the black community. And no matter how much fun you're having right now, no matter how much money YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok is paying you right now, no matter how many dumbass subscribers that you are poisoning with your dumbass ideology and your dumbass white supremacy wrapped in black hip-hop paper because you think it's cool or because you have no talent, so you follow a fad, you follow the wave that the white people give you to follow instead of following your own path and having some goddamn pride about yourself. You have no pride. The ancestors spit on you. Shaka Zulu would have deleted you. All the great warriors, African warriors in the past, would have deleted you. You are the problem. You are worse than white people because we expect it from them. But you guys are the traitors from within. You guys are the enemy from within. And I will never forgive any of you. And don't worry, us African Americans will make it through this. Us African Americans and our history will make it through this, despite your treacherous ways, because you're like a Judas. Money is more important than your people. So anyway, I'm going to put this here, and just pay attention to what Donald Trump is doing, thanks to the sit-on-the-couch FBA Negroes who promoted not participating in the voting process because they poison their subscribers who are already uneducated and making them believe that voting doesn't work. The reason why voting doesn't work is because you don't do it. And if voting didn't work, the Republicans wouldn't be right now trying to gerrymander states in order to take away power from the black people in America. So yes, thank you very much. Your ancestors are ashamed of you. You are an embarrassment to the black community, and you are the ones that will never go with us. You're the ones that will stay right there next to Massa because his ship is sinking and you will sink right along with him. Anyway, that's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn some, teach some. I'm out.
Capitaine, capitaine, voyage ton flag, allons c'est l'autre prochain. Demandez la charité aux autres musulmans. Les Mardi Gras, ça vient de tout partout, tout le tour du Moyenne. La prochaine fois par an, demandez la charité. Quand même petit saint patate, un patate de gratton, gratton, capitaine, gratton, gratton. Capitaine, capitaine, voyage ton flag, allons c'est l'autre prochain. Demandez la charité aux autres musulmans.
They told us everyone was being evacuated before the floodwaters came. That wasn't true. Share this before history buries it again. When Katrina hit New Orleans in 2005, the city's attention was on flooded streets, rooftop rescues, and the Superdome. But inside the Orleans Parish Prison, over 6,000 inmates, many awaiting trial, some never convicted, were left behind as the water rose. For days, there was no power, no running water, no food deliveries. Guards abandoned their posts, prisoners banged on doors, screaming for help, trapped in cells as the stench of sewage and rot filled the air. Some stood in chest-deep water for nearly a week. Others drank from toilets to survive. A few managed to break free, clinging to makeshift rafts made of plastic bins and debris. Officials later claimed they didn't have the resources to move the prisoners sooner. Families were told nothing. Many didn't know if their loved ones were alive until weeks later. In the chaos, records went missing. Some inmates were released without trial. Others were lost in the system for months. Katrina didn't just expose the city's crumbling levees. It exposed how quickly human rights can be washed away. If you think this part of the story needs to be remembered, say so in the comments, because silence is how it happened in the first place.
Divine all blessed greetings and salutations, honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, brought to you by, sponsored and empowered by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. Our goals. New Orleans International Voodoo Day is dedicated to honoring the rich cultural heritage and spiritual traditions of Voodoo, a bright and ancient African diasporic tradition. We seek to educate and raise awareness about the history, principles, and practices of Voodoo and Voodoo, provide a platform for Voodoo practitioners, artists, and community members to share their knowledge, skills, and experience. We seek to foster greater understanding, respect, and inclusivity among diverse spiritual traditions and communities. We seek to celebrate the contributions and resolution of African diasporic cultures in New Orleans and beyond. And we continue to promote cultural exchange, collaboration, and social justice through Voodoo-centered programming and initiatives. We invite you to continue to join us here on weeknights, 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time for this powerful podcast, and we invite your active participation. We're certainly grateful for those of you who show up nightly in the live chat, and we are certainly grateful for our co-host, the beloved Queen Mother, Sister Toni Martinez, and our team member, NOIVD, administrative team member, Elder Reggie Green. On this platform we know as Green Soap. Without the influences of African American people, medicine as a concept and practice would look very different today. Modern practices such as inoculation, gynecology, and certain birthing techniques can be traced directly back to the knowledge of African descended people held in bondage in the United States. And while some of that knowledge has been part of mainstream medicine, many other African concepts of medicine and healing have been stigmatized and consequently misunderstood. The most prominent practice rooted in the African tradition in South Carolina, for example, is called root medicine and has existed for generations. Indeed, root medicine exists throughout the South. But we're going to focus specifically on South Carolina right now. And although it is not a fully fledged religion like Santeria, Voodoo, or Candomblé, root medicine or root working is the direct result of the intermingling of cultures, the African diasporic, the intermingling of cultures within the African diaspora due to slavery, and is a practice that appears within each of the religions. As people from West and Central Africa were forcibly brought to the Americas and the Caribbean, they were exposed to Christianity. And throughout this process of forced cultural assimilation, enslaved Africans combined their ideas of spirit and medicine, blended it with new Euro-Christian beliefs and ideas, with some aspects of indigenous American practices as well. In the work entitled In Blue Roots, African American Folk Magic of the Gullah People, Roger Pickney elaborates, the Gullah are almost universally devout Christians, and that Christianity serves as a vehicle for, rather than an impediment to, root work. While root work is treated as synonymous with root medicine, it does not emphasize the medicinal purposes of the practice. By result, when describing the tie of Christianity and root work, Pickney is describing all phenomena connected to utilizing roots for their spiritual properties, medicinal and supernatural. Another element of root work is that not strictly medicinal is hexing. Hexing is the placing spell on a person, often with malicious intent. This connection between root medicine and hexes stems from their shared connection with voodoo, Santeria, and other African diasporic religions. For many, root medicine automatically equates curses and hexes, though that is not generally the case. And even for some African descended people like Ruby Cornwell, who was born and raised in South Carolina, the conflation between hexes and root medicine is not unusual. She recalled as a young girl that a woman approached her father, who was a Christian minister, seeking his help, and as she believed that she had been hexed. Elaborating her father's approach to the situation, Cornwell says, now they don't say that it doesn't exist, you see, because they know so well. They feel it so deeply that it does exist. Nothing to laugh at, you know, though you might, as children, you might want to ridicule and all, but he dealt with it very seriously. And although Cornwell herself did not believe in hexes necessarily, she learned from her father the importance of treating it as a matter of fact anyway. Still treating something as real, even without believing that something is real, makes it real in its effects. We call that in the medical field the placebo effect. By result, Cornwell's misconceptions of root medicine and observed fear of hexing has held a real and tangible space in her own life, despite her personal belief. While many who do not practice root medicine associate it with hexing or curses, it is above all a practice of healing. One of the most common practices associated with root medicine is the use of herb life everlasting. It grows in the wild throughout the Carolinas, and it can be smoked or brewed as a tea, making it a valuable remedy for the common cold. Garlic has been a staple of South Carolinian root medicine. Beyond its culinary use, it has been utilized for treating open sores as well as high blood pressure. Root medicine has been long sidelined by the academic medical field due to the deep interconnection of the healing of the body and spirit in root medicine. It has been largely viewed as backwards or primitive by a Southern white aristocracy, even well before the Civil War, which remains true even to this day. And despite the racialized and elitist outlooks that have been placed upon root medicine, it is still very much a part of life in the Low Country and throughout the South. In a 2016 article by David Lauderdale, he describes that while the legacy of Low Country voodoo has apparently declined in places like Beaufort, fear of curses or hexes still holds cultural sway in the area. By consequence, so does root medicine. South Carolina is just one place where the practice of root medicine thrives. More broadly, an important element of Black Lives Matter has been healing both socially and individually. And as a direct result, Christian, African, and traditional forms of spirituality, including root medicine, have been an integral element in promoting this collective activity. The movie Sinners, probably just escalated that to a higher degree. And by consequence, Black Lives Matter advocates have sought to celebrate the diversity of traditions that have shaped the African experience in America and can help promote a healing of the spirit. Drawn from the African spiritual beliefs just as much as from Christian beliefs, root medicine is one of the most notable and underappreciated ways medicine has been practiced beyond the hospital. And as I invite Elder Reggie to come on into the conversation and the Queen Mother, Sister Toni Val Martinez, what are some of your first memories, experiences, and or contacts with root medicine? It's not root work or conjure, but indeed root medicine, those homegrown remedies passed down from Big Mama to Big Mama and Big Papa that many of our parents of a particular age and generation often utilize when we caught a cold or injured ourselves or the whatnot. What say you, Queen Mother?
Hey, hello everyone, Elder Reggie, Divine Prince. As y'all probably know, I'm gonna already say from my mama, long as I can remember, root work. I mean, my mama had some nasty stuff that would gag a maggot that she put in my body, but I guess it served its purpose because I'm still here and I never was a sickly child. Spring cleaning to some people mean cleaning your house. But to my mama, it also meant cleaning your body. And along with that came a large dose of what was called back then acidity. Oh my God. The most horrible thing I ever smelled in my life or tasted. But I guess it did the job because all that spring and summer, I wasn't sick. Um, Quite frankly, I don't remember being too sickly as a child. But the thing that stood out to me most in my memory was there was an older lady who came by our house and she had a sore on her leg. And my mama took and put maggots on the sore and wrapped the wound back up in cheesecloth. And the lady would come back and my mama would clean it off with hydrogen peroxide and put the maggots that she hatched herself in a jar and put them on the lady leg with a tweezer very carefully. I didn't understand what was going on then, but later in life as I got older, I think the lady may have had diabetes and had sores that wouldn't heal normally. And I found out that maggots eat a lot of the sores and infection to try to heal that never ending sore that this lady had. And that's what stuck out most to me. But I grew up with folk medicine and all kind of stuff like that, even much eating in certain situations, stuff that wouldn't even be considered folk medicine. If you constipated, eat greens. If you have diarrhea, eat cheese. I mean, it worked. Once the root cause of your diarrhea was found out not to be that serious, you ate cheese. A lot of cheese, and that would stop it. What about you, Elder Reggie? I guess
Well, while we
Reggie?
waiting on Elder Reggie, I certainly can.
I'm
Oh,
go
here
ahead,
you are.
Divine. I'm here.
Well, I
Go
was just
ahead.
going to quickly say, yeah,
Mhm.
my mother, though she probably would not have called it or identified it with, spirit work, but she inherited certain practices and behaviors from her mother, my grandmother, who I told you we discovered, root work supplies among her possessions after she passed away. But spring cleaning was certainly a tradition in our house. and we went through with vinegar and water
Mm.
and cleaned the space. And certainly colds, flus, congestion, that pine cone tea, baby. Them dried pine cones, them dried brown pine cones, and boil that into a tea with onion and garlic and honey, and sometimes a little strong liquor, strong alcohol, and baby, you sweat that infection out, and the next day you be good as new again. So those are just two, just right off the top of my head that I certainly can remember and can recall, uh, rooted in root medicine. Come on in,
Yes, I
Elder
like.
Reggie.
Yeah, thank you, Divine Prince, Sister Toni. Good to see you tonight. Yeah, what was coming to my mind as I was listening, one thing right off the bat was a staple was BC powder. I don't know if they even sell that today, but BC powder was for any cold, any sickness, any fever. You got a BC powder, and if that didn't break the fever, I used to have to go and pick the leaves from a willow tree. They still have them in New Orleans, all the places. Long skinny weed, and the tea is made from that. And when you drink that tea, put a little sugar or honey if you had it back then, and that can also break a fever. And the last thing that I remember, and I don't know if it really ties to voodoo, but it still worked with the roots, and that was what we call black draught. It was a syrup. I'm not sure how it was made, but I knew we kept black draught on hand at all times.
Well, I know they had star anise in it, and that could gag a maggot because we kept black dwarf in the cabinet along with that Fletcher's Fisherman's Oil.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and castor oil, but I do remember the black dwarf. That was your winter cleaning
Mm-hmm.
to
Castor
keep you.
oil, three
Castle, that,
sixes,
Oh yeah, them 3 6s. Oh my God.
turpentine.
interpreter, yes. Yes. Yeah.
Our elders had no real doctors really to go to.
Right.
You know, you was talking about garlic. Another thing that I had knew from my mama since she like was a midwife and stuff, but to this day I still don't understand how that can work because garlic can burn. But when it came to the female anatomy, garlic gets rid of yeast infections.
Mm-hmm.
And I never tried it, but in my mind, I know in some instances garlic can be very hurtful if you put it on a flesh, on a wound or something like that in a delicate area. But going back to when we was the video and you know you talking about hexes, I had experience with that with my second husband. I hadn't talked to his mother in almost a year, and out the blue she called me because she had it in her mind and on good terms that her son, who was my ex-husband, had been hexed, had a curse put on him, had voodoo put on him, and her knowing me, she wanted me to get it off of him. Well, me and him wasn't together. So I told her I would help her and tell her what she need to do and get the stuff for her. Well, after I did all of that and told her, here you go, she was like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Uh, I don't mess with that stuff. Can you just go ahead on and do it? But you got to mess with it because you believe that he was cursed.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Mm-hmm.
didn't believe in it or mess with it, to me, when somebody say I don't mess with that, that kind of mean they don't believe in it, they don't deal with it. But you came to me dealing with it and believing in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I went on ahead and did it for her, and in about a week, she was calling me back later, telling me that he was back home and this, that, and other thing. His ailment was in his stomach,
Mm.
where he would be crawling on the floor in pain. He drank milk of magnesia and Pepto-Bismol like water. He was doing that when we was together, and it's still, and then we broke up. But it came off of him, and he don't do that no more. His stomach stopped hurting and everything, but it just, people will say such and so, heck, such and such got something on them. Those people quick to say stuff like that, but then when you ask them in another setting, oh, I don't believe in that. When it comes to them being hexed or something, oh no, they can't hex me because you got to believe in it to be hexed, and I don't believe in that. Not true. Just like people who say they don't believe in the devil, I always tell them, well, the devil believe in you. Voodoo believe in you, and the person who doing it against you believe in you. So,
But I'd like to chime in again on roots. I had dived off into being an herbalist, took a couple of online classes, and got with a few local people to learn herbalism. And what I kept hearing, and then I learned in the process, would push me away from it, the lawsuit. Because you could go natural, get plants, you could get herbs and different things. And if you subscribe it to a person as a healing remedy, normally in the form of a tea or a tincture, but it opens you up to being sued. And so I start backing away from that perspective, because within the last 20 years, people just was suing you for any and every little thing. And I know that's the route I took to back away from the herbalism somewhat. I think some of the other practitioners may have went that route also.
yeah, and you're right about that. I never, actually give anybody anything to take in. I will tell them, well, you know what I used, and this how I did it. But that was me. So if they want to go ahead on and try it, I ain't give it to you. You ain't had to take it. But you're right about the lawsuits, just like the doctors. Just like the doctors, but our ancestors didn't have that to worry about back in those days. But the world has become so complex now. The only thing you really can do is sell the herbs that someone might come to you asking to buy, but you're not giving them no herbal prescription. They already have to have their own prescription in mind to know what they need to buy. So,
Yeah,
that was,
Sister Toni, I understand what you're saying. I remember, like in 2011, I go over to Ghana, and I come back with neem. I come back with moringa, and it was another herb that I brought back. And so you take these herbs, you pound the leaves down, and then you make the little pills. I'm just saying, you put them in a pill form,
yeah, I
and
know,
you
I'm
sell them.
familiar.
Yeah, you sell them that way. And I was trying to do that and get that established going on. But like I said, all the warnings of the lawsuit, because there was no medical, no instructions on the side. I was basically selling these herbal pills out of a little sandwich bag type thing with no instructions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was wanting to stop doing that, and I kind of backed away from it. But like you said, when our forefathers was doing it back then, that was the only thing that they had. And now in 2025, there's still herbs out there. You could get them, and a lot of times people tell you to take it as a tea. You still just gotta walk a real fine line, though. Even though the herbs are working, you could put your spiritual imprint on the herbs. It's still a fine line, especially if people don't feel they're getting the results they wanted, or they don't feel healed quick, fast, in a hurry. Yeah.
That could also, unfortunately, be creating this environment of, untrained uninitiated, unmentored practitioners as well. Because
Good
people,
point.
are still curious and interested, or in desperate circumstances, and are looking to find solutions for their conditions. So they
Mm-hmm.
start, Google searching and Bing searching, and going through social media, search engines, looking for remedies and whatnot. And I think it's a strong contributing factor, what both you and Sister Tony have said in regards to the legalities for why there are so many so-called self-taught, independent uh, root workers today.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think with all the books that are coming out, with all the herbal remedy books, I got a couple myself. People are
Mm-hmm.
starting to self medicate with the
Mhm.
herbs using those books. The books is telling them what herbs to get and what to do, like they baking a cake, and they're not even going toward, to people, asking people what to get. The books are telling them what to get and how to use
Mm-hmm.
it and how to take it. And
Mm-hmm.
right now, that's a
Mm-hmm.
very big market.
Yeah, but Sister Tony, like in my case, I'm not making myself as a poster boy right now, but I'm just talking true facts. When I do divination, I work with a spirit, and so the spirit says this person need this to help in that situation. And if the spirit is telling me a herb to get, how do I deliver that product to the patient without being sued?
Let them get it themselves.
Mm-hmm. So
All the
just
thing you
recommend.
got to do is say, I've consulted and I think your problem is, and from things in the past, this herb has helped with that. You can try it if you like. I
Mm-hmm.
think they sell it thus and so. You're getting paid through the divination, the reading already.
Right, right, right.
So let them go and buy their own stuff. If they want to listen to you, they have a choice. They don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's how you could get through it.
Got it. Thanks for that advice because yeah, it's been a tightrope with me with that. Sometimes I just won't even much bring it up. And I know I have the information, but I just won't bring it up. I go to something alternative. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I'll be
always
like,
advise strongly anyone,
Mm-hmm.
to uh, take my advice and fact check it with a medical provider.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Every time
Mm-hmm.
I suggest that they don't, take my word for it, that they run, this herb by their medical, doctor, and to ensure that there's no conflicts with all the other commercial and over the counter, medications that people are taking.
That's a good point,
So the risk
Divine Prince.
factor is certainly there, but as Sister Tony is suggesting, people are going to do what they want to do, and you can't
Mm-hmm.
be
So
held
you already
liable.
done made
Mm-hmm.
your ends from the reading, from the session, and you know everything else is advisory or consultation. I'm not knowing the right word for it right at this moment.
But that's it.
Conversational,
Consultation.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my take on that. I never ever tell anybody to take anything other than golden seal, because
Mm-hmm.
nobody asks me about nothing other than things other than actually the how to cover up, how to pass a drug test. And all I can
Mm-hmm.
say is golden seal. I knew a guy who used to buy golden seal by the pickle jar, the large pickle jar full, from this herb shop, because he was offshore, and
Mm-hmm.
he would bring them offshore and sell them. And he would always come and give me a couple of dollars. When he came back, he said, "Here you go. You told me about this."
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the only thing I tell people to take is golden seal.
Let's go.
And that's for that reason. Because it throws off the drug test.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it inconclusive. It's like an antibiotic.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting with that. Because what happened, I would say within the last 15 years, Dr. Sabi, he was so popular and he was such a sensation on the internet. And almost anything came out of his mouth, a lot of people were just going straight buying it. He was able to push sea moss, the different brands of sea moss at an alarming rate out there. And a lot of people didn't even fact check sea moss. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I remember he did a pretty good tutorial on what CMOS was and all of this. And I'm quite sure, people went and looked it up to see. I always look up stuff to see if they're telling the truth. Even when I'm posting something on Facebook, I have to go look it up because sometimes, it's too unbelievable for to be true. And
mm,
I go fact check it. And what he was talking about, the CMOS, that's one of the things I went to fact check about. I even made some, and it came out quite good, quite good, and way less expensive than buying it already made from someone off the internet.
mm-hmm,
Much more cheaper to make
mm-hmm,
yourself and very easy. I couldn't believe how easy it was to make it.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, our time is running out. It's come to an end. It's been so nice having everyone here in the audience, the listening audience. Please
Mm,
come back. I'm going to turn it over to Elder Reggie to close us out.
mm-hmm. Thank you, Sister Toni, and thanks for all the information you brought forward tonight. Because I still be having gray areas in my head. Thanks, Divine Prince, also for the information you brought forward, and of course, Ray Alexander. I read in some of your chats, very, very interesting. But we're gonna close out. I like to give an announcement: ritual prayer and application on August the 23rd, which is this Saturday coming at 6:30 p.m. If you're in the New Orleans area, or you will be in the New Orleans area, the local address is 710 Cluett. Cluett Gardens is the name of the park on Cluett Street. Practitioners and spiritual warriors will be there to fight the power and try to change the tide of some of the energies that's going on today. But lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Appreciate you guys. Good night.
Good night,
Good night.
everyone.
O
Mm-hmm.
double.
No doubt. Mm-hmm.
Jumping the broom is an African American tradition that is still going strongly to this day. It's a ritual rooted in pain, perseverance, and the power of claiming love, even when it wasn't legally allowed. The tradition dates back to the enslavement of the first Africans in America. At a time when black men and women were forbidden from legally marrying, enslaved people found their own sacred ways to honor love and commitment. Jumping the broom became a symbolic act. The tradition is literally jumping over the broom at the end of the ceremony to signify entering into a new life together, stepping over into commitment, unity, and chosen family, even when the law didn't see them as fully human. The broom itself, a household item representing sweeping away the past, the pain, the oppression, the limitations, and clearing a path toward a shared future. The broom itself, a household item represented sweeping away the past, the pain, the oppression, the limitations, and clearing a path toward a shared future. For many, it was the only public declaration of marriage they were allowed to have. It was sacred. It was powerful.
it was meaningful. Today, couples still continue this tradition to honor their ancestors, reclaim their history, and acknowledge that love in its truest form is resilient. So when you see a couple jump the broom, know that it's more than a moment. It's a memory, it's a legacy, and it's a shout from the past saying, we may have been denied the altar, but we were never denied love.
Why you should never take a broom lightly, the spiritual power hidden in plain sight. You think it's just a broom? No. In African spirituality, a broom is a weapon, a shield, and a gatekeeper. You don't just sweep dust, you sweep energy, you sweep spirits, you sweep away spiritual filth. The broom is one of the oldest ancestral cleansing tools, and many don't even know they're using it wrong. In the spirit realm, sweeping your home early in the morning isn't just a chore, it's a cleansing ritual. It removes spiritual blockages left behind by midnight visitors, curses, and witchcraft deposits. The early broom chases away the spirits of confusion, poverty, and misfortune that tried to settle while you slept. But listen. There are rules. Never sweep at night unless you're doing a ritual. Never sweep and throw the dust out carelessly. It may contain energy from your home that enemies can use. Never allow just anyone to sweep your home, especially if they come with jealousy in their heart. Because spiritually, sweeping is powerful movement work. When you sweep from the back to the front, you are driving out what doesn't belong: stagnation, heaviness, bad energy. When done with intention, especially with prayer or ancestral chant, the broom becomes a spiritual command staff. The broom is not just for dirt, it's for demons. Use it with purpose. Speak as you sweep. I sweep out poverty. I sweep out sickness. I sweep out every evil delay. Because in African spirituality, the broom obeys your voice when your spirit is clean and your heart is true. The broom is an altar tool, a gatekeeper, a remover of blockages. You've been holding power in your hands all this time, but never used it. Until now. Type, sweep it out in the comments if you're ready to clear your life spiritually. Like, share, and follow Mama Joy for more ancestral wisdom and spiritual secrets that clean not just your house, but your life.